Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is still bouncing from this exact level of support, the price is now flashing a new signal on this time frame that we have not seen since 255 days ago. So this is something that we need to pay attention to, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is continuing to play out this short-term bullish signal, while the price of XRP just now officially confirms this new signal in the shorter term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence technically active on the weekly time frame, as I've been warning about since basically all-time highs months ago, telling you that we're most likely going to be lacking bullish momentum, showing a lot of weakness for a period of months as a very likely scenario. So technically that is still actively playing out here on the weekly time frame. But what we now have, thanks to, of course, this bounce obviously happening here in the daily Bitcoin price chart from this area of support in between around 85 to 86,000, still acting as a strong area of support. And so now that that is happening right now, what this means for Bitcoin here on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart is that we now have a bullish divergence forming, not yet technically confirmed, but we do indeed have a bullish divergence forming on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, with lower lows already now confirmed in the price in the candle closes. Of course, not in actual candle wicks, but in the candle closes, we do indeed have lower lows confirmed at this point in the price. And considering the fact that the RSI by default goes off candle closes, we need to look at the candle closes unless we're actually changing the input data for the RSI. But by default, once again, we're looking at candle closes for the RSI here. And so now that we've already confirmed lower lows in the price in the candle closes on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, of course, the RSI, as we can see on the 3-day time frame, is still forming higher lows, and soon this could potentially confirm with this next 3-day candle close in just a few hours from now. So by the time you're watching this video, potentially we might already have one confirmation signal, only a small confirmation signal with a slight bounce here, but still one confirmation signal potentially coming in a few hours to start confirming this new bullish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart. And so obviously this is a bigger deal than, let's just say, a bullish divergence here in the 6-hour chart, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And it has, of course, been playing out over the last 1 to 2 days here in the shorter term. But remember, the larger time frames play out over longer periods of time and in larger moves for the price of Bitcoin. And so obviously this massive move right here is a result of this massive bearish divergence that's still been playing out over multiple months on the weekly time frame. So considering the fact that we now have a bullish divergence potentially soon about to confirm on the 3-day time frame, it means we're likely going to see potentially more of a bullish relief, or at worst just a sideways consolidation, for not necessarily a move like this, because remember that was based on the weekly time frame, an even larger time frame than the 3-day chart, but something bigger than, let's just say, on the 6-hour chart here. And so for example, maybe in the next few weeks, not necessarily over many months, but maybe in the next few weeks, it is possible we could see a bit more of a bullish relief here. Don't necessarily expect a massive high momentum reversal towards the upside. Obviously that is what we saw last time we had a bullish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, but that's not always the case, so keep that in mind. Sometimes we can just play out more of a slight bullish relief, maybe some choppy sideways price action slightly leaning in the bullish direction, but overall this is of course a bullish signal for Bitcoin, as the name suggests, a bullish divergence. And so just be aware of this. Once again, not yet technically confirmed, but potentially soon about to start confirming very soon, which ultimately is some good news for the next couple of weeks for the price of Bitcoin here. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, once again, we're still bouncing from this point of support at around 85 to 86,000. So continue to expect support in that area. And as for resistance, obviously we could find some short-term resistance here and there, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But the next significant area of resistance to watch out for is still sitting in between around 92,000 to 94,000. And if we're taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, just over the last 1 to 2 days here in the shorter term, of course, we have been playing out this shorter shorter term bullish divergence on the 6-hour chart with lower lows in the price and higher lows in the RSI. So obviously that already confirmed over a day ago. It has already been playing out very nicely here in the form of just a slight bullish relief, and more recently over the last half a day, a little bit of sideways price action as well. And like I already explained in my last video, just over the next couple of days, most likely for the remainder of the weekend, we're most likely going to continue to play out this bullish divergence in the form of either just some more sideways price action or maybe a slight bullish relief. So that's the sort of price action that I expect just over the next couple of days over the weekend. But as always, while we're playing out this shorter term bullish relief, bouncing from this point of support here, we need to be aware of points of resistance along the way towards the upside where the price could potentially reject from or struggle at. For example, we have this previous ascending line of support, which has recently flipped into new resistance where the price has been struggling at this level, and that's sitting at just above 89,000, closer towards around 89,500. So really in between around 89 to 90,000, expect resistance around there on the price chart. And once again, especially in between 92 to 94,000, we have a lot of resistance in that area. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that right now, first of all, we have a small amount of liquidity towards the downside at just above 84,000, but most of the liquidity, at least in the short term to pay attention to, is sitting at give or take 91,000. So basically in between 90.8k to 91,000 is the area to target right now for the price of Bitcoin. But obviously just be aware that between the current price and around 91k, once again, we do have this potential short-term resistance here at roughly 89,500, getting closer towards 90,000, considering it's an ascending line on the price chart. And so overall, of course, this can help to draw the price of Bitcoin towards the upside, because usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to get drawn towards where we have a lot of liquidity on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. It kind of acts as a magnet, pulling the price towards where we have a lot of liquidity. So keep that in mind while we have that liquidity above the price, and while we have this bullish divergence in the short term, bouncing from support, and of course potentially soon about to confirm the larger bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame. This is all pointing towards most likely a bit more of a bullish relief in at least the shorter term here for the coming days, or possibly the next couple of weeks if we're talking about the bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame. But at least for now, if we're talking about the much larger time frames, as in what to expect over the next couple of months, overall, we're not in the clear yet based on this weekly time frame. But in the short term, once again, it's starting to look good if we're talking about the next few days or possibly weeks. And if you want to take advantage of any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to actually trade Bitcoin and crypto if you want to. And if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can take advantage of some massive bonuses that are only available using that link. For example, if you make your account using the link below the video, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, if you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your Pinex account. And if you deposit 10,000, you get a $1,000 bonus on your Pinex account. So this is basically free money from the exchange, which you can claim using the link below the video. And then you could go ahead to use that free money from the exchange to actually trade Bitcoin and crypto if you want to, using the exchange's money. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well take advantage of this. Once again, first link below this video. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange to also place trades on, an exchange that I also use myself, then for that, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. That second link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of exclusive bonuses that are only available using that link. And on top of those exclusive bonuses, you can also take advantage of a trade protection and recovery fund using the link below this video. It will take you to this page right here. And so as you can see on this page, the first 7 days of your trading, if you're making your account using the link below the video during this event, in your first 7 days of futures trading, you can get up to 200 USDT in trial funds as loss protection. And on top of that, if your account saw total liquidations over 50 USDT during this event that's running right now, then you also may be eligible for recovery compensation compensation up to 1,000 USDT depending on your liquidation. And so once again, if you want to take advantage of loss protection and also extra bonuses, etc., check it out. Second link below this video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and in the imminent short term over the last 1 day, we've seen a very slight little pullback, but overall the shorter term price structure is looking more bullish than it is bearish here on the daily time frame. We technically have higher lows already formed and now higher highs in the price chart on the Bitcoin dominance chart here on the daily time frame. And so at least for now, the current trend and momentum is still looking more bullish than it is bearish. Obviously, we don't have a significant amount of bullish momentum, so it's not like we're absolutely rocketing towards the upside, but considering this slight trend towards the upside in the Bitcoin dominance, this means overall Bitcoin will be likely slightly outperforming a lot of the altcoin market just on average. Of course, there's always outliers when it comes to altcoins, but usually Bitcoin does better, at least a little bit better in this case, than a lot of the major altcoins out there on average, if of course the Bitcoin dominance is trending in this bullish direction as it has started to do just recently. And if we're taking a look at the price of Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH, after bouncing from this point of support at close to 2.8k, really in between 2750 to 2.8k is the area of support. So far we've come back up towards this exact area of resistance that I've been warning about, in between 3,000 to 3.1k, and at least so far we're still finding resistance in that area. So once again, continue to expect resistance in between 3,000 to 3.1k, and if the price of ETH actually confirms ideally a daily candle close above 3.1k and actually holds above that area, in that situation the next immediate resistance I'll be watching is in between roughly 3.2k to 3250, especially around 3250 as a point of resistance to watch out for. And above that, I would expect more resistance at closer towards around 3.4k. But once again, immediate resistance around 3,000 to 3.1k. And once again, support at around 2750 to 2.8k. And if we actually break below that area in that situation, I would expect more support in between 2.6k to 2650. But in the imminent short term, the price is somewhat getting squeezed, because while we're running into this resistance at 3,000 to 3.1k, the price is also trying to still play out this shorter term bullish divergence on the 3-hour time frame. Obviously, we already confirmed lower lows in the price in the candle closes and already confirmed higher lows in the RSI, as I already explained in my last video. So like I said in my last video, we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or maybe just some sideways price action, which so far is exactly what we've been seeing since we reconfirmed this new bullish divergence. But the resistance is very obvious, especially here on the 3-hour time frame. We clearly have a lot of resistance right here. We see multiple rejections and struggle around this level right here, which is sitting at pretty much exactly $3,000. And so once again, the price is trying to play out the bullish divergence in the form of just a slight bullish relief, but considering that we don't have a significant amount of bullish momentum and we do have a lot of resistance right here, the price is just kind of squeezing up against that resistance, at least for now in the immediate short term. So for now, that is the situation and will likely continue to be the situation over the weekends. But then especially if Bitcoin continues a bullish relief soon, it's likely that soon that could also cause a little bit more of a bullish relief for Ethereum. But just be aware of those points of resistance along the way where the price could potentially struggle at. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, just over the last 1 day, the price of Solana has now officially confirmed a new bullish divergence on the daily Solana price chart. And so obviously, as I already mentioned in my last video, we already had confirmed lower lows in the price in the candle closes. We're just waiting to confirm the higher low in place in the daily Solana RSI, which over the last 1 day has now happened. So we now have officially a new bullish divergence confirmed on the daily Solana price chart, which means most likely, at least over the next few days, but quite possibly in the next 1 or 2 weeks, that sort of time frame, we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or maybe just a sideways consolidation. Basically, a bit of a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action is very likely now, potentially over the next 1 or 2 weeks. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, first of all, expect now support at 124. Now that we've broken back above $124, they'll likely become new support again, and expect more support in between $115 to $117 based on this low and also these previous lows back here acting as support. And as for resistance, as we continue this slight relief here in the short term, that will likely be the case over the next 1 or 2 weeks, expect potentially a small amount of resistance in the short term at roughly $130 based on previous support here in the short term, and also support here in the short term flipping into resistance at around 130. But the next significant area of resistance to watch out for is really in between around 143 to 147. And remember, definitely keep an eye on what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for Solana and a lot of these altcoins. Remember, a lot of these major altcoins follow very similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing, so keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, honestly, despite what's happening in the short term, the weekly time frame is still not looking very good in terms of the larger structure here. Is still looking quite weak. We're still playing out a significant bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, which remember is not a short-term signal. This has been a signal that has already been playing out very nicely over the last multiple months here, as I actually warned about here on the channel all the way back around the end of July, early August. But we're really running into the final significant area of support before potentially much lower price targets. And that final significant area of support, as I've already been saying for a while now on the channel, is in between around $1.80 to $2. So we're still holding above, especially that $1.80 level, at least for now, on the weekly time frame. And that could potentially still be the case over the next couple of weeks due to the fact that we have something playing out now on the shorter term, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But let's just say in a few weeks from now or in a month from now, for example, if we ultimately break below $1.80, then that could still potentially cause a major drop down towards lower price targets, at least down towards $1.60, potentially down towards $1.30 to $1.40 as a major area of support that I'll be targeting if, of course, we first confirm that break below $1.80. But in the meantime, in the shorter term, still holding that as support, and that will likely continue to be the case now, at least over the next couple of weeks, because we now have a new bullish divergence, a smaller bullish divergence here on the daily XRP price chart, now officially confirmed. And so obviously, as I already explained in my last video yesterday, we had already confirmed the lower lows in place in the price action in the candle closes. We're just waiting to officially confirm the higher low, which is almost a horizontal low here in the RSI. But even if it is a horizontal low, this is still a form of a bullish divergence, but it's actually a very, very slight higher low in the RSI. And now over the last one day, this has been officially confirmed with one strong confirmation signal. And so now that we have officially confirmed a new bullish divergence on the daily time frame, just like this previous bullish divergence back here, for example, it means it's not necessarily a reversal signal out of the larger bearish trend, but at least over the next 1 or 2 weeks, we're most likely going to see a bit of a bullish relief. At worst, maybe a sideways consolidation, but most likely a bit more bullish price action still to come in the next 1 or 2 weeks as a very likely scenario. But remember, we can see shorter term bullish reliefs and shorter term sideways consolidations during the much larger multi-month bearish trend, which is still the case right now, thanks to this much larger bearish divergence playing out on the weekly time frames. As always, understand the difference between the different time frames. This is a somewhat shorter term signal, short to mid term. This is more of a longer term, mid to long term signal. And as for support and resistance to watch out for right now in the shorter term, expect potentially some resistance at give or take $1.95 based on previous support flipping into resistance. But really the next significant resistance is in between $2 to $2.05. And if the price actually breaks out back above that area and holds above that area, in that situation, the next resistance I'll be watching is at roughly around $2.15 to $2.20. And as for support, once again, we have a decent amount of support still sitting at around $1.80, which is pretty much exactly where the price bounced from over the last couple of days at $1.80. And if we break below that level, then as I said earlier, I'll be targeting these much lower levels like $1.60 or possibly as low as $1.30 to $1.40. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a very similar situation for Chainlink. As usual, a lot of the crypto market is highly correlated. We see very similar price action across a lot of different crypto assets. So right now, Chainlink is following a lot of the other cryptos I've talked about in this video, with, of course, a new bullish divergence now officially confirmed here on the daily Chainlink price chart. And so once again, as I already explained in my last video, we had already confirmed the lower lows in place in the price in the candle closes. We're just waiting to officially confirm the new higher low in place in the daily Chainlink RSI, which over the last one day has now officially confirmed with one confirmation signal. So obviously this now means we technically have a new confirmed bullish divergence now active on the daily Chainlink price chart, which means over the next 1 or 2 weeks, that sort of time frame, we're most likely going to see either a slight bullish relief or at worst maybe just some choppy sideways price action, but most likely a bit of bullish price action, a bit more of a relief is quite likely in the next 1 or 2 weeks or so. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, obviously still expect a lot of support at give or take $12, which is where we've seen multiple important bounces from it, give or take $12. And as for resistance, now that we're continuing this bullish divergence, playing out this bullish relief in the short term, expect a lot of resistance at around $13.40 to $13.50, give or take. And above that area, also expect a lot of resistance at close to $15, really at around $14.80 to $15 as also a major area of resistance. And we also have to be aware of a possible head and shoulders pattern currently forming right now, which would be a bearish pattern if it actually confirms. But in order to confirm this pattern, we need to first see a bit more bullish price action in the immediate short term over the next few days, come up towards this resistance at roughly $13.40, and then we need to reject from that level, come back down towards $12, and then break below $12 in order to actually complete the formation phase of that bearish price pattern and start confirming a new bearish price target. So for now, obviously that's not yet confirmed, but something possibly forming, something to pay attention to in the coming days or weeks. And once again, if you want to take advantage of any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.